What we're going to be covering today, it's specifically SmartList Designer, and so it kind of assumes a working knowledge of SmartList. I'm not going to be going through any basic SmartList capabilities today, so just keep that in mind. We might cover that in a separate session, but we're just focusing on the designer. So there are differences between SmartList Designer and SmartList Builder. Obviously, SmartList Builder is a much more mature product. SmartList Designer was just introduced. There is a complete list of the differences at the E1 Solutions website, and I've put the link there. If you want to basically just go to e1solutions.com and you'll be able to find that information. There's a few things that I wanted to highlight. So the list that you see here is a kind of a truncated list. I've just pulled out a few things that I wanted to point out here. First of all, creating go-tos. So in SmartList Builder, a go-to is what allows you to double-click on or go to the go-to button and access different windows directly from your SmartList. That's not available in SmartList Designer today, so keep that in mind. There are no multi-company smart lists for SmartList Designer. You can't do summaries, so that's important, I think. A lot of us use SmartList Builder to create summary smart lists. SmartList Designer cannot do that today. And I think the last three are probably the most significant. So SmartList Designer does not allow you to create Excel reports, so it's focused on smart lists. SmartList Designer also does not allow you to create new navigation lists, so that's important to know as well. And also the drill downs that we can use, the drill down builder that's part of SmartList Builder. So SmartList Designer at this point in time is basic, but it's functional. You can definitely use it. All right. So this is really important, and it took me a while to figure this out, so I wanted to make sure I shared it with you. If you have SmartList Builder installed, it will disable SmartList Designer. You have to either uninstall or disable SmartList Builder in order to use SmartList Designer. And I would go as far as saying if you have SmartList Builder today, you probably don't need, and you're using it regularly, you don't need to worry about SmartList Designer because SmartList Designer is not going to give you the level of functionality that you're going to get from SmartList Builder. So, and I'm going to show you how to disable it if you want to go in and play with it. But we'll do that once we get into the demo, which is right now. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create a smart list that shows all of my vendors with their associated purchases account that is assigned to them. So that's what we're going to create. And so our resulting smart list is going to look just like this. All right, so let's get into it here. Again, this is GP 2013 Service Pack 2. That is required for this particular functionality. So, and just, I said I wasn't going to touch on SmartList at all, but I'm going to just very quickly because you're going to see some differences in the way that SmartList itself behaves in service or in Release 2 of GP 2013. So, first of all, you'll see if I expand this. Actually, let's do this. Let's go into purchasing and let's just bring up a list of vendors here. So now in SmartList today, before Release 2, I would have to either expand this window manually or I would have to scroll through to see all of the information. Well, with Release 2, and incidentally, if I would expand the SmartList window when I closed it and reopened it, it would go back to its original size. Now, it maintains that size. So that's really great for those of you who are using SmartList and you have, the wide reports that you're looking at. It will remember where you put it. As well, there is the option now to increase the size of the SmartList favorites window here. So I can just choose to increase width, and it will remember that the next time I open up my SmartList. It will remember that width. The other thing that you can do with Release 2, I'm going to come up here to SmartList and go to Favorites pane. Notice this Enable Auto Hide. So I can, one of the new functions is I can hide this just by clicking that arrow, which makes it easier to see, obviously, the results of whatever SmartList I'm working in. But I can also choose to auto-hide this. And I actually like this a lot because when I click on a SmartList, it's going to, did I choose auto-hide? No, I can't remember. There it is. So if I click in here, it's going to, of course I have no inactive vendors, it's going to, let's do vendor balance, it's going to hide that for me automatically. So I'm only seeing my results. I can still have access to all of the functions at the top, but I'm only looking at my results. So I like that a lot because it allows me to focus on what I'm working on instead of what's happening in the favorites area, my favorites window over there. And if I want to get it back, I can just come over and open it back up and access it again. Now, you'll see some new buttons here, Modify and New. And those are new with Release 2 of GP 2013. Now, I have SmartList Builder enabled right now, and if I click New, it is going to open up SmartList Builder. Okay? If I want to disable that, and I'm going to have to disable that for what we're going to be doing today, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up into Tools and Customize and Customization Status, and I'm going to stretch this out so you can see what this is. This is everything that I have installed in my GP dictionary. These are all of the capabilities that I have installed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disable SmartList Builder, and this just does this temporarily. It will, the next time I log out and log back in, SmartList Builder will come back. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up again, and if we go to the same place that we were before, I think we're on Vendors here. Now if I choose New, it takes me to SmartList Designer. And notice that it has not only chosen the right product and the right series based on where I was previously, it's also because I had a SmartList open, it's also choosing some fields for me by default. I don't want that, actually. I want a brand new one, so I'm going to come up and just pick something that's not a favorite, and I'm going to choose New. And so, well, that didn't work. So I'm just going to get rid of these real quick here. We'll do that because I want to walk you through adding tables and things like that. So what we're going to do, remember, is we're going to use our vendors, and we are going to add the purchase account to the vendors. So we'll just call this vendor purchase account. My product is GP, and again, this is everything that I have installed, so all of my third parties and everything, I can access that. And then the series is where is it going to fall within my SmartList here. Now the tables, so the databases that I want to add here, I need to decide where it's coming from. And I know that my vendors are in GP, so I'm going to choose that, and then here are all of the tables in GP, and they've broken them out by functional area here. We're going to choose purchasing, and we'll expand that. And I'm just going to move this over a little bit. And this is probably the hardest part here, is knowing what table to pull the information from. There is a descriptions of that's available. That you can find here in resource descriptions. So you could pull that up and try and find what you're looking for. I know that the one that I want is the PM vendor master file. But I don't want, now if I wanted all of the fields in there, I could just check the box and they'd all show up in here in my selected fields. I don't want that. I just want a couple of fields here. I want, from this table, I want the vendor ID and I want the vendor name. Now notice as I check them, they move over into this selected fields area. Now I also want to choose the GL account, and that's actually going to come from the financial area. And you're going to see when we marry these tables together how they come together. And actually that's the second hardest part, is knowing how to join your tables. So I'm going to come up here to financial, and I am going to pick Account Master, and I'm going to expand that. Now, a little education about how GP manages data here. It uses the account index to pull the account numbers. So within the vendor table, there's an account index for the purchases account, and what I'm eventually going to do is match that up here with the account index from my account master. If I just chose the account index, I would just get a numerical value that increments every time I add a new account. So it's not the account number, it's the index. But what we're going to pick here is the account number and the account description. All right, so I've done that, and what I want to do right now before I move on into the join relationships between the two tables, because that can get kind of complex, I want to pause and check with Cindy and see if we have any questions.
We do not at this time.
Okay, then I'm going to keep going. All right, so I'm going to move down here. Because I've got two different tables here that I'm pulling data from, I need to define the relationship between those tables. So I know the first table that I want to pull from is the vendor master, and I'm actually going to join this, and it's down here a little further. I want to join this to the account master using the PM purchases index. And the way that I join these together is important. So here are my options: left join, inner join, and cross join. And I'm going to jump back to my slide deck here for just a second and talk about the differences between those. So here's my sample table here, and I want to give credit to Lisa Williams here in out of our Northern California office for helping me put this together. I liked the colors. I think that they make it easy to see how the results that you get from each of these join types. So here are my two tables that I'm working with. And so an inner join will return only the records from Table A and Table B where they're both the same. So if we look back here, they both have a green and they both have a red. And those are the only ones that they have in common. And so an inner join will only return the records that both tables have in common. Then here's our tables again. It's the same table. A left join returns all of the records from Table A and all of the matching records from Table B. So that's a left join. The next one is a cross join, and it will return all of the records from Table A and all of the records from Table B. So the one that we want to use today for what we're doing, we're going to use a left join because we want all of the vendor records and then everything where there's a match from the account master. So let's go back in here and define our join. Where are we? Here we are. So we're going to do a left join. And we're going to join it to the account master based on the account index. Okay? So these two fields, the purchases index and the account index, if they're the same, then give me what's in the account master. Always give me everything from the vendor master, but give me from the account master where the indexes are the same. All right, so now from here, some more advanced things. I'm not going to do this to my with what I'm doing today, but I want to point it out to you because you might want to do it in your experiments with SmartList Designer. You can do some calculated fields as well. So I'm going to click on this, and we'll pretend to add a calculated field. So you can pick the type of field that you want to add. You need to name it, and then you would just simply pick the field from whatever it is, and then define the function that you want to do. Now, one little hint here, I'm going to actually move this out. Yeah. And I'm going to come back here to my table fields, and we'll just pick something else again. Now, if I double-click on this, notice that my cursor, that my pointer is over here on the far left. Before you can put any additional expressions in here, you're going to need to move it over to the end. Otherwise, you'll get an error. So I found that out in my experimentation. So always make sure that you're clicking on the end here. But your functions, you can see there are arithmetic functions, so you could, this probably isn't logical here, you got to move it over to the end again, date, time, math functions, etc. So you can add calculated fields, and once you add them, they'll just appear here in your selected fields list. You can also filter. So maybe I want to filter on vendor IDs that are equal to or like or less than or more than or whatever, but you can go ahead and add as many filters as you want here as well. Keep in mind that I can define additional relationships if I need to. Also, there's also an auto link function that will kind of try to make a determination as to the best way to link those tables together. And as long as you understand what each of these join types mean, then you can use the auto link, and if it doesn't give you what you think you need, then you can go ahead and make the change. All right. So one thing that I think is kind of nice about SmartList Designer is that I can go ahead and come up here and execute my query, and it's going to show me the results here. So I don't have to save, go back, compile, look again. I can see all of that information right here as I'm working through the process of developing this SmartList. I can also, if you're really technical, I'm not, so I don't know what any of this means, maybe some of it, but you can actually see the query results or the query that's being generated by creating your SmartList, because that's all that's really happening is we're creating a query, a SQL query to return the results in our SmartList. All right, so I am done here. And so what I want to do is I'm going to say OK. And you can see it's created a new SmartList here called Vendor Purchases Accounts. And from here, maybe this is a little bit of training. I said I wasn't going to do this, but maybe I will here. Now it's just a normal SmartList. So I can see I've got some here that are missing the account number. So I can business process is that every new vendor has to have a purchases account. I could actually set this up as a reminder so it shows up on my home page when there's one that's missing.
Tammy?
Yes.
I think we lost you for a little bit there on that first, for like the last couple of minutes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what I did you see me just do the search?
You might want to go over that again because I think we lost the audio. And it
oh, wow.
froze.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all I did is I came in and took the basic SmartList, the results that we got here, and I did a search, and I'm just going to come down to my favorite here and show you what the search looked like. So I searched on where the account number contains 2 dashed lines because that's what it returned when the account is missing. And then I saved it as a favorite, missing purchases account. And keep in mind as well, in addition to adding it as a favorite, I could also add it as a reminder. So if part of my the rules for maintaining vendors or for setting up new vendors is that they have to have a purchases account, I could put that as a reminder on my home page, and it would remind me when a vendor was set up with a missing account number. So those are, and maybe some other ones as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I want to find out, do you see that? Search used to be here, now it's new, and so I keep going over to there. So maybe now I want to say where the account number is between, we could do, and 130099. I know those are my inventory accounts, pretty sure. So there they are. And so now I can save this and say these are my inventory, just as an example. Inventory vendors. So hopefully you get the idea of how you can use SmartList Designer. I'm going to pause again for questions here.
No, we don't have any yet.
Okay. So one thing I want to point out, though, is if I hover over this vendor, I'm double-clicking and nothing is happening. That's that go-to functionality. Notice as well that my my go-to button here is grayed out, whereas if I came down to a regular SmartList like 1099 vendors, just as an example, and I double-click, it's going to open the vendor card. It's going to come over here and allow me to look at the vendor transactions. So that capability is missing from SmartList Designer today. I think that it will be there eventually. Just in this first release, it is not there. Also, I lost my mouse. Hold on just a second. Come back. Where are you? I can also still export out to Excel, of course. So that ability still exists. Okay, so if you needed to work with any of this, anything that you create in SmartList Designer, if you need to work with it in Excel, that same capability is still there. All right. So that was pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. The main thing to remember, I think, is if you're using SmartList Builder, it disables SmartList Designer. So if you want to play with SmartList Designer, you need to temporarily disable SmartList Builder in order to use SmartList Designer. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy and let her tell you about our upcoming events.